Some people spend their whole lives thinking about how others hurt them. They replay moments, nursing anger, frustration, and disappointment, as if holding on to that pain will somehow make life fair. But the truth is, staying stuck in that place only gives the person who hurt you more control over your life. The real power doesn't come from seeking revenge, arguing, or proving anything to anyone. Real power comes from something far stronger. It comes from taking the energy that was used to hurt you and turning it into your own momentum. It comes from rising above the pain and building a life so full, so strong, and so unstoppable that no one's actions can ever define you. Every setback, every betrayal, every moment that feels unfair can either break you or fuel you. And the choice is yours. The path you take after someone hurts you determines the person you become, the life you create, and the success you achieve. Hurt is temporary, growth is permanent, success is louder than any insult, strength is deeper than any betrayal. This video is about discovering the power that comes from choosing the latter, the choice to rise, to grow, and to become more than anyone ever thought possible. By the end of this message, you will see that the best response to anyone who tried to hold you back isn't revenge or anger. The best response is to focus on yourself, invest in your growth, and live in a way that proves that no one can take your purpose, your peace, or your potential. This isn't just about healing. It's about becoming unstoppable and using every moment of hurt as fuel for a life that's bigger, stronger, and more meaningful than you ever imagined. Part 1, pain as a turning point. There comes a moment in life when the feeling of being hurt presses so hard on the chest that it becomes impossible to ignore. The air feels heavier, the thoughts become louder, and the world around you seems to move with no understanding of what is happening inside you. Pain has a way of showing up without warning, and when it comes from someone you trusted or cared about, it feels even sharper. But there is something important hidden beneath that sting. It may not look like it at first, but pain can become the turning point that shapes the direction of your entire future. It can push a person to rise, to grow, and to rebuild in ways they never imagined before the hurt arrived. Most people want the pain to disappear the moment it appears, and that is completely natural. No one enjoys sitting with the feeling of being rejected, overlooked, or betrayed. Yet there is something powerful that happens when a person decides to see pain not as a dead end, but as a moment that demands a new level of strength. When the world feels like it has taken something from you, that is the exact moment when you can choose to take something back from life. You may feel tired, shaken, or unsure, but this is where the choice begins. This is where the path splits. You can allow the hurt to weaken you, or you can allow it to guide you toward a better version of yourself. Every person has experienced a moment where they wondered why someone treated them the way they did. Maybe someone dismissed your efforts, spoke to you in a cold tone, or walked away when you needed support. The memory of those moments sits quietly in the mind, showing up when you wish it wouldn't. But inside that discomfort is the first spark of change. The heart becomes more aware, the mind becomes more serious. The spirit wakes up and says there must be more than this feeling. Pain has a strange ability to pull you closer to the truth about your life. It reveals who truly stands with you and who only appeared to. It reveals what areas of your life you have been ignoring. It reminds you that you deserve to move forward, not remain stuck in the same place. When pain enters your life, it becomes a mirror. Not a mirror that shows your flaws, but a mirror that shows your strength. It shows how much you can endure. It shows how much you can improve. It shows how deeply you care. Some people misunderstand pain and think it means they are weak. In reality, pain often means you have a level of heart that others might not understand. Pain means you have the capacity to feel deeply, and that capacity is the same force that can push you into greatness. It motivates the tired person to continue. It encourages the quiet person to speak. It pushes the doubtful person to take action. Pain has a way of shaking a person awake and reminding them that life can be shaped, changed, and built again. It is important to acknowledge how the pain feels in the moment. The tightness in the stomach, the heavy breath, the racing thoughts, these are not signs of failure. These are signs of being human. The mind begins to analyze every detail, wondering what could have been done differently. But dwelling on that question only keeps a person stuck in a place they no longer belong. When a painful moment arrives, it is not there to trap you. It is there to show you that your future needs more from you. It calls for growth. It calls for discipline. It calls for a renewed commitment to becoming stronger than you were yesterday. There is a quiet strength that comes from choosing to stand firm after being hurt. You decide that the pain will not control your decisions. You decide that the person who caused the hurt will not shape your character. You decide that your future is worth fighting for, even when your emotions try to drag you backward. This shift in mindset becomes the first sign that the pain is becoming a turning point. Instead of reacting, you begin responding. Instead of falling apart, you begin rebuilding. Instead of doubting yourself, you begin believing in what you can achieve. Many people spend years carrying their pain like a weight on their back. They replay old situations, hoping the memories will change, but those memories will never adjust themselves. What can change is the person carrying them. That is where the turning point begins. Pain can force you to take action you would have delayed. It can push you to develop new skills, build new habits, or choose a new direction. Pain can even introduce you to sides of yourself you didn't know existed. You may discover that you can work with more focus than before, that you can stay disciplined longer than before, that you can set higher standards for your life than ever before. Some people think the turning point must come with a dramatic moment. They imagine the world shifting instantly. But most of the time, it begins quietly. You wake up one morning and feel something inside you change. The pain is still there, but it no longer controls your day. You feel an urge to rise, to move, to improve in ways the old you would have postponed. You feel a stronger desire to take your life seriously. The pain that once felt like a setback now begins to feel like a push. And with each small step forward, the turning point becomes more clear. You start focusing more on your goals than your wounds. You begin noticing how your energy changes when you invest in yourself instead of thinking about the person who hurt you. The more you build, the less the pain speaks. The more you grow, the more distant the hurt becomes. You find yourself breathing easier, standing taller, and speaking with more confidence because the pain that once tried to silence you is now the reason you found your voice. Pain can shape you into someone wiser, someone stronger, someone more aware of what matters. Someone who refuses to let another person's actions decide the quality of their life. This shift does not happen overnight, but it does happen when you choose to make the pain mean something. Instead of letting it drain you, you allow it to direct you. Instead of letting it break you, you allow it to build you. Instead of letting it define you, you allow it to move you toward the life you know you deserve. When pain becomes a turning point, it stops being something that held you back and becomes something that moved you forward. The hurt may stay in your memory, but it loses its power. You no longer feel trapped by it. You feel guided by what it taught you. And with time, you come to realize that the pain was not the end of the story. It was the beginning of a stronger one. Part 2, the best revenge. There comes a time when a person realizes that the most powerful answer to those who doubted, insulted, or dismissed them is not anger, arguments, or harsh words. The strongest answer is rising so high that the people who tried to bring you down can no longer reach the level you've built for yourself. There is something deeply satisfying about choosing growth over bitterness, progress over reaction, and success over emotional chaos. The moment you decide to move in that direction, you reclaim your power from those who tried to weaken you. Massive success becomes the response that requires no explanation and no defense, because results speak with a clarity that no voice of criticism can match. There is a quiet strength in refusing to stay in the same place where someone left you wounded. Success becomes the proof that you deserve better than what you experienced, and it becomes the evidence that you were capable of far more than anyone realized. When you achieve something meaningful, the memory of the hurt loses its weight. It no longer feels like the center of your story. Instead, it becomes a small part of the path that pushed you toward building something greater. Rising above the negativity does not mean forgetting how it felt in the moment. It means using that memory as a reason to move forward with a stronger mind and a more determined heart. Massive success is not about making anyone jealous or proving to them that you are superior. It is about proving to yourself that you can turn emotional pain into productive energy. It is about refusing to give the people who caused you stress any control over your future. The moment you decide that your time, your focus, and your energy deserve something better than anger, you begin shaping a new life that is driven by purpose, not resentment. Success becomes your way of saying that no one has the power to ruin your potential unless you hand it to them. Many people spend months or even years replaying an insult, a betrayal, or a moment of disrespect. They allow those memories to take space in their mind and drain their energy. But the truth is, the people who hurt you are not thinking about you. They are living their lives, moving on, or repeating the same behavior with someone else. The more time you spend thinking about them, the more you delay the progress you could be making. So that shifts that pattern. When your attention goes toward building something meaningful, the past loses its ability to interrupt your focus. Your energy begins to pour into actions that benefit your life, rather than memories that slow it down. Massive success is built with consistent work that grows quietly. It strengthens your confidence step by step. It increases your belief in your value as you see your efforts turn into real progress. While others may wait for you to break or stumble, you use every day to shape a stronger foundation. There is something incredibly empowering about waking up and knowing that your life is improving because of your own choices. That sense of control replaces the sadness or anger that once filled your mind. When you achieve something significant, you feel a sense of relief that proves your pain never had the final say. A powerful part of success is the emotional independence it creates. You stop seeking approval from people who have no interest in your well-being. You stop chasing acknowledgement from those who enjoy undermining you. Instead, you begin to see your value through the progress you're making, the discipline you're practicing, and the strength you're developing. Your life starts to feel fuller because you're building something real, something that cannot be taken away by anyone's bad behavior. That feeling of progress becomes addictive in the healthiest way because it pushes you to stay focused on your goals instead of falling back into old frustrations. Massive success also changes the way others look at you. People who once ignored your potential begin to notice your steady improvement. People who once doubted you begin to question their assumptions. People who once spoke down to you begin to lose the confidence they once had in their judgment. And while you may feel tempted to remind them of what they said or how they treated you, success gives you a different type of strength. You no longer need to say anything because your progress speaks for itself. Silence becomes more powerful than confrontation because silence backed by results has weight. It commands respect without forcing it. There is also something healing about success. It pulls you out of the mindset that forms during the painful moments. It helps you see the world from a clearer place. When you achieve something meaningful, the anger that once consumed you loses its effect. You begin to understand that the people who hurt you are not the ones who determine your future. Your success becomes a reminder that you are not a product of their actions. You are a product of your decisions. And that understanding brings a peace that cannot be measured. Choosing massive success as your answer to pain does not mean pretending the hurt never existed. It means deciding that the hurt will not be the end of your story. It means choosing to rise instead of crumble, choosing to grow instead of complain, and choosing to focus on your mission instead of the people who tried to distract you from it. When you commit yourself to building something great, the pain becomes smaller, the future becomes brighter, and your sense of control becomes stronger. The best part of success as revenge is that it benefits you far more than it affects anyone else. You gain discipline, clarity, confidence, and strength. You build a life that brings you pride. You experience achievements that feel mean. And as you continue to climb higher, you realize that the person who hurt you unintentionally gave you one of the greatest gifts. The push to become someone stronger, sharper, and more driven than before. Massive success becomes not only your revenge, it becomes your new beginning. Part 3. Refuse to let hurt define you. There comes a moment when a person has to decide whether the pain they carry will shape their life or simply be a part of their past. Many people go through experiences that leave deep marks, cold words, broken trust, moments where someone they believed in walked away as if their presence had no value. It can feel like the world suddenly becomes smaller, as if everything revolves around that single moment of hurt. But the truth is, none of those painful experiences have the power to define you unless you allow them to sit inside your thinking and take over your choices. What defines a person is not what happened to them, but how they respond when life delivers a blow they never expected. The toughest part is that pain often feels personal. It's not just an event, it becomes a feeling that settles in your chest and colors the way you see yourself. It can make you question your worth, your strength, and your future. Someone might have spoken to you in a way that made you feel small. Someone might have treated you as if your heart meant nothing to them. Someone might have thrown away your loyalty like it never mattered. Those moments can shake a person to their core. But even when the pain feels heavy, it does not tell the full story of who you are. Pain is an experience, not an identity, and you have the ability to choose how much of your life it influences. There are people who spend years believing they are the person their hurt created. They walk around with guarded hearts, closed minds, and lowered expectations because someone once convinced them, directly or indirectly, that they deserved less than what they hoped for. This becomes a quiet prison, one that traps potential and limits personal growth. But the moment you decide not to let those old wounds decide how you walk, speak, dream, or act, something changes inside you. Your confidence begins to rebuild, your energy rises, your outlook shifts from pain to possibility. You start seeing that your story is far bigger than the hurt you experienced. One of the most important steps in refusing to let hurt define you is understanding that your reaction determines the direction of your life. You may not have chosen the pain, but you can choose the meaning you give to it. You can choose whether it becomes a reason to stop or a reason to rise. You can choose whether it breaks you or builds you. This decision does not happen in a dramatic moment. It happens in quiet moments when you wake up and decide to give your day your best, even if your heart still feels bruised. It happens when you feel discouraged but keep moving. It happens when you feel insecure but refuse to step back. Every small decision becomes part of the larger shift where you regain control of your identity. When someone hurts you, it is easy to internalize their behavior and believe that you caused it or deserved it. But their actions come from their own mindset, their own habits, and their own limitations. Their choices reflect who they are, not who you are. They might not have known how to appreciate your character. They might not have valued your loyalty. They might have acted out of their own confusion or immaturity. Their behavior reveals their level of understanding, not your level of worth. Once you grasp this, you free yourself from taking responsibility for someone else's actions. Refusing to let hurt define you also means refusing to carry the weight of someone else's behavior into your future relationships, ambitions, or dreams. Imagine how much potential is lost when a person holds on to hurt until it becomes a filter for every decision. They might decline opportunities out of fear that they will be rejected again. They might silence their voice because someone once made them feel unimportant. They might stop taking risks because someone taught them to doubt themselves. This slow shrinking of the mind can quietly erase the confidence a person once had. But when you decide that your future is bigger than your pain, you stop letting those old experiences shrink your life. You refuse to let someone else's choices place limits on your next steps. As you grow, you begin to realize that strength is not the absence of hurt, but the decision to move forward despite it. Strength comes from staying committed to your goals, keeping your heart open to positive connections, and nurturing the parts of yourself that your pain tried to silence. Strength comes from holding yourself to a higher standard, even when someone else failed to treat you with proper respect. Strength comes from knowing that every experience you survived did not weaken you, it sharpened you. There is something deeply empowering about taking control of the way you see yourself after going through hurt. You start paying attention to the qualities that make you valuable, your patience, your loyalty, your kindness, your determination, your ability to care deeply even after being wounded. These qualities do not disappear because someone mistreated you. They remain a part of your character, waiting to be recognized by the right people and used in the right direction. When you appreciate your value, the behavior of others no longer shakes your foundation. Refusing to let hurt define you does not mean pretending that nothing painful ever happened. It means accepting the pain without allowing it to dictate your choices. It means acknowledging the hurt without allowing it to rewrite your identity. It means standing tall even when a part of you still feels fragile. This approach brings peace because it allows you to live a full life without constantly looking back at the person who caused the pain. And as you continue strengthening your identity, the hurt that once seemed overwhelming begins to lose its influence. You notice that your thoughts become clearer, your goals become more meaningful, your heart feels lighter. You start creating new memories that are more powerful than the old ones. You start meeting new people who show you that respect and loyalty still exist. You start seeing opportunities that were invisible when the pain consumed your attention. The hurt becomes a chapter, not the title of your story. When you refuse to let hurt define you, you take back your identity, your direction, and your future. You become someone who stands taller than the pain that tried to limit you. And with each step forward, you prove to yourself that you are far more powerful than anything you have ever endured. Part 4, discipline. There is a point in life where emotion tries to take control of everything. The moment someone hurts you, the mind fills up with reactions that feel urgent and explosive. The heart beats faster, the hands shake a little, and your thoughts move in a direction that feels impossible to stop. Emotion wants you to respond right away. It pushes you to prove your worth, to shout back, to defend yourself, to react in ways that satisfy the pain for a moment but harm your future for much longer. Emotion can feel powerful, but it is unpredictable. It moves quickly and disappears quickly, leaving you with the consequences of actions you never fully meant to take. That is why discipline becomes so important. Discipline is the only thing that keeps you steady when emotion tries to pull you off your path. Discipline does not ignore the pain or pretend the hurt does not exist. It acknowledges how deep the wound feels, but chooses a wiser response. When discipline guides a person, they no longer speak out of anger. They no longer make choices that weaken their character. They no longer give attention to people who enjoy creating confusion. Instead, they focus on building the kind of life that brings long-term strength. The shift from emotional reaction to disciplined control is one of the biggest steps toward personal freedom because it means you are no longer held hostage by temporary feelings. People often underestimate how much damage emotion can cause when it is allowed to lead. When someone hurts you, emotion tells you that you need to respond immediately. It tells you that the pain must be released right now. But emotion rarely considers the fallout. It rarely thinks about your goals, your future, or your peace. Emotion only thinks about the moment. Discipline, however, thinks about the long-term picture. Discipline reminds you that your future is more important than the momentary satisfaction of reacting out of hurt. Discipline gives you the clarity to choose silence when silence protects your growth. It helps you walk away when walking away keeps you focused. It allows you to rise above immature behavior without losing your sense of dignity. When a person chooses discipline over emotion, they begin living with intention. They stop allowing their day to be controlled by the way others treat them. They stop giving their energy to arguments that lead nowhere. They stop feeding their mind with thoughts that drain their confidence. Instead, they start making decisions based on principles, goals, and purpose. This feels different from reacting emotionally because discipline leads to results that strengthen your life instead of damaging it. It's important to understand that discipline is not natural in painful moments. Emotion shows up quickly, loudly, and without warning. Discipline shows up slowly, quietly, and with practice. At first, deciding to control your reactions feels uncomfortable. You might feel the urge to respond. You might feel the pressure to prove something. You might feel the weight of anger trying to push you into action. But each time you take a breath and choose a stronger response, you build a level of self-control that becomes a major advantage in life. There is a sense of pride that forms when you look back on moments where you could have reacted emotionally but chose discipline instead. It feels good to know that you protected your future, your reputation, and your progress by refusing to fall into emotional traps. It's not about pretending you're unaffected. It's about refusing to give someone else power over your behavior. When you respond with discipline, you stay in control. You decide what matters. You decide what deserves attention. You decide who affects your... Many people lose years of growth because they allow emotions to direct their choices. They waste time arguing, defending themselves, or replaying hurtful moments. This takes away energy that could be used for building skills, improving health, expanding opportunities, or growing success. Discipline redirects that energy. It takes the emotional fire and turns it into fuel for progress. Instead of spending hours thinking about what someone did to you, discipline guides you to use that time in ways that build a stronger life. Discipline also helps you maintain clarity during conflict. When emotion is in control, everything feels personal. Every word feels sharp. Every tone feels disrespectful. Every situation feels bigger than it really is. Emotion exaggerates the moment, but discipline puts reality back into place. With discipline, you can see what's worth responding to and what doesn't deserve even a second of your time. You can recognize when someone is trying to get a reaction out of you and simply refuse to participate. You can sense when a situation is pulling you downward and choose to walk away before it affects your self-respect. One of the biggest benefits of discipline is that it protects your peace. Emotion often brings chaos. It brings arguments, misunderstandings, regrets, and reactions that you wish you could take back. But discipline brings steadiness. It gives you the ability to think clearly even during stressful moments. It helps you stay calm in environments filled with negativity. It strengthens your ability to think for yourself instead of being controlled by the behavior of others. Once peace becomes a priority, emotional reactions lose their power over you. Discipline also supports your long-term goals in a way that emotion never can. Emotion changes based on circumstances. It rises and falls throughout the day. It shifts based on who you're around or what you hear. But discipline stays steady no matter what. If your goal is to grow, discipline keeps you consistent. If your goal is to improve your life, discipline keeps you focused. If your goal is to prove to yourself that you are stronger than the pain you experienced, discipline comes your. It shapes your habits, your daily choices, your self-respect, and your progress. There is something deeply empowering about knowing that discipline shapes your future rather than emotional reactions. It allows you to live with confidence because you're no longer unpredictable. You know how you choose to deal with conflict. You know how you choose to handle pain. You know how you choose to respond to negativity. When discipline guides your behavior, life becomes easier to navigate. You stop living in survival mode and start living with direction. Choosing discipline over emotion does not make the pain disappear instantly, but it prevents the pain from controlling your life. It allows you to rebuild yourself on your own terms. It helps you become someone who grows stronger through challenges instead of being weakened by them. And as time goes on, you begin to appreciate how much you protected yourself by choosing discipline when your emotions wanted to take control. That choice becomes a turning point. The moment you decided not to let pain shape your identity or direct your future. Part 5, turning hurt into fuel. Hurt has a way of knocking the air out of a person. It can make your hands feel heavy, your chest tight, and your thoughts spin out of control. At first, it feels impossible to move forward, as if every step you take is being slowed by the memory of the moment that caused the pain. The truth is, hurt is one of the most powerful forces you will ever encounter if you decide to treat it the right way. It is not something that has to stay as a burden. It can become the exact reason you find your strength, your focus, and your determination. Hurt can either destroy you or it can drive you, and the difference lies entirely in the choices you make after it arrives. Many people spend days, weeks, or even years replaying the hurt over and over in their minds. They think about the person who hurt them, the unfairness of the situation, and how life seems to have treated them unjustly. The problem is that this keeps the hurt alive in a way that does nothing for the future. It steals energy, clarity, and motivation. But when a person decides to transform that pain into fuel, the hurt changes from a source of weakness into a source of power. It becomes the spark that drives action, effort, and progress. Instead of focusing on what was lost or how unfair the situation was, energy is redirected into building something better, stronger, and more lasting. Turning hurt into fuel begins with a simple decision to refuse to let the hurt control your future. That moment may feel small, but it changes everything. When you make that choice, your mind begins to operate differently. You stop thinking about revenge in the traditional sense. You stop thinking about making someone pay for what they did. Instead, you start thinking about your own growth, your own success, and the steps you can take to make the life you deserve. The hurt still exists, but its role changes. It is no longer a chain holding you back. It becomes a push forward, a reminder of why progress matters, and a measure of how far you're willing to go to rise above the past. The fuel that comes from hurt is practical and focused. It is not about emotion, it is about effort. It's the extra hour you spend learning a skill. It's the consistent steps you take toward your goals when distractions try to pull you off course. It's the disciplined choices you make that others might skip because they are too caught up in excuses or complaints. Hurt has a way of sharpening your focus when you choose to use it. It tells your brain that this moment, this experience, and this energy cannot be wasted. It can become a driving force for results you never thought possible before the pain arrived. Hurt also has a unique way of making priorities clearer. When someone disappoints you or betrays your trust, it forces you to look at your life and ask yourself important questions. What deserves your energy? Who deserves your attention? Where should you focus your efforts so that your time and heart are protected and invested wisely? When hurt is transformed into fuel, these questions lead to decisions that improve your life significantly. You begin letting go of situations, habits, or people that hold you back. You begin seeking environments, relationships, and opportunities that build instead of drain. That clarity is one of the strongest benefits of using hurt as fuel. Every time you channel hurt into action, you reinforce a cycle of growth. Each small accomplishment becomes evidence that the pain you experienced did not defeat you. Each forward step reminds you that the person or event that caused the hurt has no power over your future. Every moment where you push past doubt or insecurity builds your confidence. The more you succeed using that energy, the more fuel it generates. The hurt does not go away completely, but it transforms into a constructive force that strengthens your habits, your decisions. Hurt can also sharpen your resilience. It forces you to develop patience, perseverance, and the ability to keep going even when circumstances are challenging. When the pain hits, it may feel unbearable, but the moment you take one step forward, you discover something important. You are stronger than the moment that tried to stop you. Every obstacle you overcome using that fuel adds to your momentum. You begin to feel unstoppable, not because life is easy, but because you are learning how to convert negative experiences into tools for growth. Skill becomes invaluable throughout life. There is a subtle satisfaction that comes from turning hurt into fuel. It comes from knowing that you did not waste the pain. It comes from seeing the results of your effort and realizing that what once tried to hold you down has now helped you rise. The people who caused the hurt might never understand what you did with the energy you were given. They might never see your progress. They might continue their lives without thinking about it. But that does not matter. The fuel you created benefits only you, and it benefits your future more than anything anyone else could do. The energy is yours to spend wisely, and that is a freedom no one can take away. Using hurt as fuel also kicker. It strengthens your ability to remain calm under pressure, stay focused when distractions arise, and keep your integrity intact when others would act impulsively. It teaches you how to make decisions based on long-term results rather than short-term emotion. It develops a sense of inner control that cannot be easily shaken. And perhaps most importantly, it teaches you how to turn what feels like a setback into a step forward. The process of transforming hurt into fuel is ongoing. It does not happen in a single moment. There will be times when the hurt feels heavy, when memories pull you backward, and when it seems easier to stay stuck. But the difference comes when you keep moving. Each time you take another step, the fuel becomes stronger, and the pain loses its control over your life. You build habits, routines, and momentum that create a future far better than the past you experienced. And over time, the hurt no longer feels like a limitation. It becomes the proof that you were able to rise, act, and create despite difficulty. When someone tries to break you, the most powerful response is to grow. When someone underestimates you, the most effective reaction is to achieve. When life knocks you down, the most meaningful answer is to build yourself back up with more focus, more effort, and more determination than ever before. Hurt, when used correctly, becomes a compass, guiding you toward higher levels of skill, stronger confidence, and greater accomplishment. It becomes a tool, not a trap, and that transformation changes everything. At the end of the day, the decision is simple but not easy. You can let hurt consume your energy, or you can convert it into fuel that drives action, builds success, and strengthens your future. Every time you choose the latter, you reinforce a pattern that makes you more resilient, more disciplined, and more capable than before. The pain does not vanish, but its power to harm diminishes as you grow. And the life you create in response to that energy becomes proof that what tried to hold you down ultimately made you stronger, sharper, and more unstoppable. Part 6, build yourself, not bitterness. It's easy to feel like life owes you something after you've been hurt. When someone betrays your trust, dismisses your effort, or treats you unfairly, the instinct is to hold on to resentment. That feeling can sit in your chest like a heavy weight, making every day harder than it needs to be. The truth is, holding on to bitterness doesn't change what happened. It doesn't make the person who hurt you realize their mistake. It doesn't bring back the time, energy, or opportunities that were lost. But it does take control of your life. Bitterness is a quiet thief. It robs you of peace, focus, and progress. And the moment you decide to build yourself, instead of carrying that weight, you reclaim everything that the pain tried to take from you. Building yourself begins with choice. You have to choose to shift attention away from the anger, frustration, or disappointment, and toward your growth, your skills, and your future. That doesn't mean the pain disappears instantly. It doesn't mean you forget what happened. It means you decide to stop letting it dictate the way you live. You focus on what you can control, your actions, your habits, and your mindset. That focus is transformative. Every hour spent improving yourself is an hour that bitterness cannot touch. Every skill you develop, every goal you advance, every positive habit you reinforce becomes proof that you are moving forward while the pain remains stuck in the past. People often confuse building themselves with revenge. Revenge focuses on others. It focuses on proving a point. It focuses on being noticed. But building yourself is entirely different. It is a personal mission. It is about creating a version of yourself that cannot be shaken by negative experiences. It is about rising to a level where your value is undeniable, where your results speak louder than any words ever could. When you choose this path, you stop worrying about the person who hurt you and start worrying about your own potential. That shift in energy is powerful because it turns something that could destroy you into something that makes you stronger. Every time you focus on self-improvement, you create momentum. Momentum is a force that bitterness cannot compete with. Learning, growing, and advancing take effort, but they pay dividends that last a lifetime. Bitterness consumes energy, but produces nothing. Growth produces skill, confidence, and results. Growth produces the ability to handle future challenges more effectively. Growth produces a stronger sense of self. And every time you take a step toward building yourself, you reinforce a cycle that pushes the negative feelings further away. Eventually, the hurt and resentment become small echoes rather than loud voices controlling your choices. Building yourself also changes the way others perceive you. When people see you improving, they see someone committed, disciplined, and resilient. They see someone whose life is guided by purpose instead of reaction. The focus on personal development naturally commands respect, even from those who once doubted or dismissed you. It demonstrates that your energy is spent wisely and that your life is too valuable to waste on negativity. That silent proof is far more powerful than arguing, complaining, or trying to point out who wronged you. Your growth becomes undeniable evidence of your strength. It's important to understand that building yourself is not a one-time event. It is an ongoing process. Hurt may try to resurface in moments of doubt or stress. Memories may creep in when you least expect them. But every choice you make to focus on progress instead of resentment strengthens your capacity to move forward. Skills take time to develop. Confidence takes time to grow. Habits take time to form. Every day invested in yourself compounds over weeks, months, and years, creating a foundation that bitterness cannot touch. This is why commitment to personal growth is so powerful. It transforms even the deepest wounds into opportunities for improvement. Another aspect of building yourself is emotional strength. Bitterness thrives on emotions that you cannot control: anger, frustration, regret, and jealousy. Growth focuses on emotions that you can manage: patience, determination, focus, and resilience. By deliberately choosing the latter, you create an emotional foundation that supports success rather than undermining it. You begin to notice a sense of calm that was impossible when bitterness dominated. Decisions become clearer. Relationships become healthier. Opportunities become more visible. Life feels lighter, not because challenges disappear, but because your ability to handle them improves. Building yourself also gives you freedom. When bitterness rules, your life feels like it's constantly tied to the past. Every thought about the person who hurt you keeps you anchored to that moment. Your attention is scattered. Your energy is divided. Your choices are restricted. When you focus on growth, you free yourself from that mental trap. You start thinking about possibilities instead of grievances. You start planning for the future instead of replaying the past. You regain control over where your life is going. That sense of freedom is rare, but it is accessible to anyone willing to invest in themselves instead of investing in resentment. There is a quiet joy that comes from witnessing your own progress. It's not about impressing anyone else. It's about proving to yourself that your life matters and that your effort is worthwhile. It's about recognizing that the time you spend improving your mind, your body, your skills, and your relationships is the most valuable investment you can make. Every achievement, no matter how small, is a reminder that bitterness no longer controls you. Every improvement becomes a measure of your ability to rise above negativity and focus on what truly matters. The act of building yourself also creates influence. People notice those who have discipline, focus, and a life filled with purpose. They are drawn to individuals who invest in themselves rather than wasting energy on resentment. By focusing on growth, you not only improve your own life, but you also set an example for others. You demonstrate that hurt can be transformed into action and that challenges can become stepping stones instead of barriers. Your progress encourages others to think differently about their own setbacks. That ripple effect extends far beyond your immediate circumstances. Ultimately, choosing to build yourself instead of holding on to bitterness is a choice to take control of your life. It is a decision to value your time, your energy, and your potential above the negative actions of someone else. It is a commitment to long-term growth over short-term reaction. Bitterness keeps you trapped in yesterday, but building yourself opens the door to tomorrow. And the most remarkable thing is that as you continue to develop your skills, your habits, and your mindset, you become someone no pain or negativity can limit. You become unstoppable in the most authentic and fulfilling way possible. The people who hurt you may never acknowledge the strength you built from their actions. They may continue on their paths unaware of the life they inadvertently helped you shape. But that does not matter. The life you create, the habits you reinforce, and the confidence you grow belong to you. They cannot be taken, and they cannot be undone. Every day you choose growth over bitterness, you reinforce the fact that the best response to anyone who tried to hold you back is not revenge, not resentment, but a stronger, wiser, and better version of yourself. Part 7, choose a. Where you spend your time has a bigger impact on your life than most people realize. Environment isn't just the physical space around you, it's the people you interact with, the energy you absorb, and the influences you allow into your mind every single day. When someone hurts you, it's easy to stay in the same place, with the same people, and with the same routines, thinking that somehow things will change on their own. But the truth is, if your surroundings are full of negativity, criticism, or influence that doesn't serve your growth, the hurt will stick around longer than it should. Choosing a better environment is one of the most powerful steps you take toward reclaiming your life and ensuring that your energy is spent wisely. A better environment begins with people. The company you keep can either lift you or hold you back. If you surround yourself with individuals who thrive on gossip, complaint, or tearing others down, you will slowly start absorbing that energy without even realizing it. Even subtle negative remarks or constant criticism can shape your mindset and influence your behavior over time. On the other hand, when you choose to spend time with people who inspire, encourage, and push you to grow, your mind and heart naturally start aligning with progress and possibility. Difference is remarkable. Positive influence reinforces the best parts of you, while negativity reinforces the parts of you that doubt yourself. Choosing your surroundings carefully is not selfish. It's necessary for your well-being and your success. A better environment also includes the rooms you spend time in, the workspaces you occupy, and the communities you engage with all contribute to your mental and emotional state. Cluttered, chaotic, or uninspiring spaces drain energy. Spaces that feel safe, organized, and encouraging fuel creativity, focus, and motivation. When the people and places around you constantly remind you of past hurt, failure, or negativity, it becomes more difficult to move forward. Actively creating an environment that promotes growth, learning, and positivity is a practical way to support your personal journey. It's not about avoiding challenges. It's about not wasting energy in areas that serve no purpose for your growth. Choosing a better environment also requires awareness. It demands that you pay attention to where your energy goes each day. Are your conversations lifting you up or tearing you down? Do your routines move you closer to your goals or pull you into distractions? Are the stories you watch, the content you consume, and the social media you scroll through reinforcing strength or fueling insecurity? Every small input has a cumulative effect. Being intentional about the energy you allow into your life is one of the clearest ways to protect yourself from lingering hurt. A better environment isn't created by chance, it's created by conscious, deliberate choices. Sometimes, choosing a better environment means making difficult decisions. It may require distancing yourself from people who no longer serve your growth, even if you've known them for years. It may mean leaving situations, workplaces, or social circles where negativity is constant. These decisions are rarely easy because they challenge comfort zones and old habits. But discomfort in the short term leads to freedom in the long term. When you surround yourself with positive, motivated, and supportive influences, the opportunities, clarity, and energy you gain far outweigh the initial difficulty of making change. A better environment also creates a sense of safety. When you are around people who value respect, integrity, and growth, you feel more confident expressing yourself, trying new things, and pursuing goals without fear of judgment or sabotage. Safety is not about avoiding challenges. It's about knowing that your energy is being spent in places that encourage your potential rather than diminish it. Feeling safe mentally and emotionally allows you to heal from past hurt faster and focus on building the life you deserve. When you choose a better environment, you also set a standard for the future. You show yourself and others that your time, energy, and life are valuable. You stop tolerating toxicity and create space for relationships, experiences, and opportunities that align with your goals. This choice changes your trajectory because it allows momentum to build rather than stagnate. You begin to notice how much more productive, confident, and resilient you feel simply by removing negative influences and intentionally surrounding yourself with growth-oriented energy. It's also worth noting that your environment affects habits. People, places, and routines influence what you think about, how you act, and the choices you make every day. A toxic environment reinforces doubt, procrastination, and fear. A positive environment reinforces action, discipline, and courage. Choosing where you spend your time is not just about comfort. It is about building habits that serve your long-term growth. Small, consistent adjustments in your environment lead to major transformations over months and years. Creating a better environment is not only practical, it's empowering. It sends a clear message to yourself that your life is worth protecting. It signals that you refuse to be defined or limited by past hurt. By intentionally shaping the energy around you, you regain control over your focus, emotions, and progress. Your choices no longer leave your life to chance. Instead, they reflect conscious decisions aimed at building success, peace, and strength. Even after you have chosen a better environment, you must remain vigilant. Not every situation or person is positive, and not every influence is obvious. Ongoing awareness ensures that you continue to guard your energy and protect your growth. Surround yourself with mentors, friends, and experiences that constantly inspire you to become better. Regularly evaluate the impact of your environment on your mindset and habits. Adjust as necessary to maintain an atmosphere that supports the version of yourself you want to create. Ultimately, choosing a better environment is one of the most practical, actionable steps you can take after experiencing hurt. It doesn't erase the past, but it changes the lens through which you view the world. It allows your energy to be spent on progress rather than resentment. It positions you for greater success, happiness, and resilience. Every choice to remove toxic influence and embrace supportive energy strengthens your ability to rise above the circumstances that once held you back. The power of environment is when someone tries to hurt you, it is natural to feel vulnerable, confused, or frustrated. But the most effective response is not to argue, dwell, or fight. It is to create surroundings that amplify your strengths and minimize negativity. A better environment allows you to focus on yourself, your growth, and your future. It gives you clarity, energy, and momentum. And it becomes a foundation upon which the next level of your life can be built, stronger, wiser, and far more resilient than before.